Hey guys, Coach Pippin here from Pippin Performance, and welcome to the Fit Project, your weekly workouts designed to help you be strong, be mobile. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel below to get the latest workouts as they're posted. Today we're going to get you ready to hit the pavement running. I have my friend Stacy here with me today, who loves to run more than anyone I know, and after suffering from various running-related injuries, she can now do so because she is strong. You have to have strong hips, ankles, and core to run efficiently, so today's workout is all about preparing the body to run from a strength perspective. The only equipment needed is a pair of mini bands and a chair or bench, so let's get going. Today's workout includes the bind, level 1 bridges, dead bugs, knee tucks, calf raises, Dorsi Walks, lateral lunges, single leg deadlifts, and we'll finish it off with mini band walks. All right, so let's get started. First, we're gonna have Stacy sit on the floor. We're going to start with the bind. So we're going to take the right foot and we're going to pull it to the inside of the left knee. We're going to take the right hand back and behind. Take the left arm up and cross over that right knee. And we're going to sit here, we're going to hold this position. You can go ahead and let that arm drop. We're going to hold this for about 30 seconds. Try to create length of the spine, screw that right arm in, and let's go for 30. So the point of this drill is to really increase the thoracic rotation. When you do run, there is a little bit of movement here. So we need to kind of get into that position, so we can start to develop control and feel comfortable doing that. The other thing is we always try to tend to go really straight when we do stuff. We need to tap into that transverse plane, which is all about rotation. Make sure we create length, pushing that hand through the floor, have a nice gap between our shoulder and our ear. Looks good. And remember to breathe while we're doing this. Keep breathing. We got about 5 seconds left. Really smooth. And now slowly come on out and take the left arm up. We're going to let that right foot come out, left foot to the inside of the right knee, take the left hand behind, and now cross that right arm over. Sit up nice and tall, good position, brace those abs, and we're off with 30. What you really want to think about here is trying to rotate. We're not tilting. A lot of times we'll get in, we're trying to rotate too much, we'll actually tilt. You want to think about rotating, not tilting, and make sure you can breathe. If you can't breathe, you have no business being in that position, so make sure you can take a nice, deep breath. Don't get a cookie for how far you're able to rotate. Just creating length, staying nice and tall, and breathing. If you're a little less mobile than Stacy, you can always bring that hand a little more to the outside. You don't have to necessarily be behind you, but just make sure you own that position throughout the entire 30 seconds. So let's finish up here. 2 more big breaths. Looks good, looks good. And slowly come out of that. So now we're going to get into level 1 bridges. So we're going to have Stacy scoot forward a little bit. We're going to lay flat on our back with our feet probably about 8-10 inches away from our butt, feet shoulder width. We're going to mildly tuck our chin, take our fingertips and reach toward our heels. And now we're going to flatten our lower back. So think like top of the pelvis goes down, bottom of the pelvis comes forward, and we're going to hold that position right there. So this is our starting position. Now we're going to drive our heels into the ground to slowly get our hips up. We're going to hold that top position. When you do that, you should feel your glutes kind of turned on. You should feel the front of the hips kind of opening up a little bit. If you feel your lower back and your hamstrings, that means you've lost your tilt. So this is 1, we're going to do 9 more here. So go really slow. You think like trying to touch your lower back down first, you're going to put yourself in a really good position. If you get that little cramp feeling in your hamstrings, or once again in the lower back, you've lost that tilt when you tried so hard to establish the beginning. Nice and smooth. Really think like you're pushing through the heels. Don't have happy feet, have your toes moving all over the place. Looks good. Don't freak out if you're not able to get as high as Stacy. She's got really mobile hips. Just go to where you feel safe and you feel your glutes open and you feel the front of your hips. Nice and smooth. Let's get 2 more here. Looks good, looks good. 1 more. Let's squeeze out a little bit more range at the top. Hold and slowly come on down. All right, now that we've worked on thoracic, we've worked on the glutes, now we're going to start to tap into our abs. So the first thing we're going to have her do is pick up her knees, hold here, elevate the feet to about 90 degrees. Arms are going to be directly over the shoulders. So now we're in the dead bug position. So this is all about teaching our abs how to stabilize. Our abs aren't meant to do crunches. They're meant to kind of be like a cylinder here, create a lot of tension while our appendages move in each direction. So we're going to go with alternate. So we're going to go left hand, right foot. They're going to slowly lower down toward the floor where she feels safe. Right there is perfect. And then you're going to come back up. We're going to do that for 9 more reps. What you want to make sure of is you're always driving your lower back into the ground. If your lower back starts to come off, that means your pelvis is rotating and losing that connection. We need that pelvic lumbar connection to make sure everything's nice and stable and our abs are doing our job. Keep breathing, I don't care if you breathe in, I don't care if you breathe out, just always be breathing no matter what you're doing here. Nice and smooth. Let's get 2 more good ones for 10. Good, 1 more. And come up and freeze. All right, now we're gonna go left foot and right hand, same thing. And down, let's get 10. Every couple of reps, if you're kind of just starting out with this stuff, make sure you really think about driving that lower back. So if you gotta do like a little self-check every couple, that's totally fine. Just make sure you feel safe and comfortable, and you're always breathing. Nice and smooth. And don't worry about how far your foot comes down. Even if you're only moving a couple inches, that's totally fine. You're gonna feel that tension in your abdominals the second your legs start to travel away from your midline. So just make sure you're nice and safe, everything feels good, and you're driving that lower back into the ground. 1 more here, Stace. Hold, and come on down. All right, let's sit back up. We're gonna go through all that 1 more time. Let's go into the bind. So this time, let's start with left foot on the inside of the right knee, right leg extended, left arm up and over, and cross. Make sure you can breathe, excellent, and we're gonna hold for 30 now. So if you're doing this properly, you should feel a little bit of activation underneath your scapular, kind of almost right behind your left armpit. That means you're really trying to screw in that shoulder, feel nice and safe, creating length in the spine. Looks good, looks good. Wherever your sternum is pointing is kind of where your vision line should go. So don't try to crank out more rotation, trying to turn your head. You're not going to do yourself any good. Just go wherever your sternum points and you're pretty much good to go there. Keep breathing for me, keep breathing. Good. Do a little self-check, make sure we're tall, we're not tilted. Let's go 3 more big breaths and I'll put it at 30 seconds. Looks good, looks good. Biggest thing here, guys, do not move. Just own your position and slowly come on out. All right, tuck the right foot to the inside of the left knee this time. Right arm goes behind, screw it in. Left arm comes over and across. And own that position for 30 seconds. Good. So we're gonna hold now for 30 seconds. Let's keep owning that position. Make sure you're nice and tall. Keep that foot pointed straight up. Sometimes that foot has a tendency to kind of roll out to the outside. Just do a little quick check-in. Make sure shoulders are down. There's a nice space between the ear and the shoulder. Keep breathing. The bigger breath you can take, the more comfort you're gonna get here. You're actually kind of teaching your nervous system how to relax, feel safe, and eventually you'll be able to squeeze out a little bit more range of motion. Looks good, looks good. Let's go 2 more really big breaths. Good, and 1 more. And slowly come on out. All right, let's go ahead and lay back on our back. We're gonna get back to those bridges. Lay flat, chin mildly tucked, fingertips reaching toward the heels, feet shoulder width. Let's flatten the lower back, and let's now drive through the heels for 10. Hand up, squeeze, really squeeze your glutes to the top, feel the front part open, and right back down to the starting position. So another cool way to kind of make sure your pelvis is in the right position is when you come down, make sure your lower back touches first. If your butt touches first, that means you've lost that tilt. Okay, so make sure we come down, we always tuck before we go, and we keep owning that tuck all the way up and down throughout the movement. Keep driving through the heels, feet stay nice and still. No big toes wagging in the air, everything looks good. Good, let's get 2 more stays. Good, and last one. Come up, squeeze, feel the front open, glutes engaged, and slowly come back down. All right, let's get back in those dead bugs. So, knees directly over hips, arms directly over shoulders. Just a little chin tuck, drive that lower back in the ground. Let's go right foot, left hand, and for 10. Come out and right back in. Every 2 or 3 reps, guys, like I said earlier, just make sure we own that pelvis, make sure that lower back is driving down. A good little mental cue is if you think there's like a weight scale underneath your lower back, and you're thinking about trying to push down that weight scale as hard as humanly possible with your lumbar. If you do that, your back's gonna feel safe. If you don't, you will start to feel that pelvis. That's when bad things are gonna start to happen. Let's get 2 more. Good, last one. Excellent. All right, let's go left foot, right hand, and go. Don't freak out, guys, if your brain's telling you to do one thing and all of a sudden you can't remember which leg and arm. Just try to do the opposite sides right now, just kind of mimicking that running style. Looks good. All right, let's get 5 more. Good. Check in with that low back, make sure it's driving down. All right, so now we're gonna get to the next part of the workout. So go ahead, come on up, Stacey. So we're gonna get into knee tuck. So we're gonna slide the bench here. We're gonna gonna have Stacy sit on the edge of the bench, facing out. You kind of almost want to think like you're sitting on your thumb. So we're going to lean back a little bit with our torso. We're gonna take our knees and first pull them up to our chest, hold. And now we're gonna try to take our feet kind of down at like a 45-degree angle, and then pull our knees back up to our chest. We're gonna do this for 15, and let's go. So try to keep your knees as close together as humanly possible. If you're not that mobile, those knees are gonna want to flare up. It's totally fine, but just try to make sure you're squeezing together. Try not to let the torso move all that much, and make sure those feet are going straight down. Now, if you don't feel safe enough to go all the way down, you can always cut the range like halfway, that's totally fine. But when you're doing this, you're gonna feel your hip flexors and your abs get blown up very, very quickly. Most people tend to think they always have tight hip flexors, but we also need to have strong hip flexors. That's what's gonna carry you through the running, and so the glutes and abs don't have to do everything. Keep breathing, looks good, excellent. All right, so now we're gonna get into our calf raises. Go ahead and stand on up, Stace. So you don't need a bench for this, but it kind of helps for balance purposes. So we're gonna have her face the bench. She's gonna gently kind of sit on this thing. She's not gonna use it to get up. And all we're gonna do is try to elevate our heels, keep our heels pretty much the same distance apart, and then slowly come on back down. We're gonna get that for 15. So let's do a quick check-in. Make sure our butt's engaged, abs engaged, chin's over our spine, and let's get 15. Take your time with your calf work. A lot of people tend to go right into those where we're sitting off a ledge or something. That's really, really aggressive for most people. Kind of earn the right to do those. Doing these guys is a good kind of prerequisite for it. The more you can build up resiliency in those Achilles, your arch, all the tissues around the ankle, the better off you're going to be on the pavement. Keep breathing, keep breathing. And make sure everything is moving. Sometimes with calf raises, we'll let just our knees move forward and our actual whole body's not changing. We don't want to do that. Make all the effort come to the calves. Good. Let's get 2 more. And last one, let's hold and down really, really slow. All right, so now we're going to get the Dorsi Walks. You've probably never seen this exercise, but it's all about trying to strengthen the front shin here. So we're going to cock our feet up in the air, tuck our pelvis a little bit, and we're going to do almost kind of like a little duck walk, never letting our toes come in contact with the ground. So she's going to go back and forth 3 times. If you got like an open patch, do that for about 20, 30 feet. Nice and slow, sit up really tall. This is all about trying to strengthen that front of the shin, also known as our anterior tibialis. If you got shin splints or anything like that, we got to make sure we have strength and resiliency on both sides of that joint, being the ankle. Nice and smooth. And trust me, if you've never done this before, the front of your shins are going to be burning like crazy. Probably just after like 5 or 6 steps. Looks good. Let's go one more time down and back. Try not to stick the butt out too much here. It's going to happen a little bit. And make sure everything's nice and engaged, abs, butt, and all that good stuff. Looks good, and relax. All right, next thing we're going to get into is our lateral lunge. So I'm going to start here on the left. I'm going to reach to my right. I want to make sure I got a good base first. Feet pointed straight. I'm going to hinge with my hip, and I'm going to hold. And then I'm going to use this foot to drive me back to the starting position. So we're going to go 10 right and then 10 left. Stay slide this one and start on this end. Looks good. All right, step. Make sure you got a good plant. Drive that hip down and back, hold, and then push back and away. So a really good cue is think like you're pushing the floor out and away from you. You don't want to go up, you want to go kind of back to your neutral position. So why we do lunges in this plane is like we said before with the thoracic rotation, running always takes place going forward, forward, forward. We got to get out of that plane so we start to move laterally. The more lateral strength we have, more glute strength we have, the better off we're going to be running. Looks good, looks good. Let's get 3 more. Don't worry about how far you guys are bending over. It's not really all that important. What's important is not letting the knee track too far forward over the toes. So if you look down when you finish, your knee should pretty much be over the middle of your foot. Let's go ahead and slide to the right. Now let's get to those left. Let's get 10. Good. When you do this, you should feel a lot of tension on the outside of your hip, of the leg that's bending, and then the inside of that thigh of the straight leg. Now don't worry if you can't get as low as Stacy. She's really mobile. Make sure you just go to where you feel safe and where you can still keep breathing. Looks good, looks good. Excellent. And let's finish up last 2. And 1. All right, now we're going to get what's called a single leg deadlift, or as I like to call it, flamingo, because I'm from Florida and it just sounds funny. So We're going to start with our left hand on the box, and our left foot is up in the air. So now we're going to hinge the hips. We're going to get in a good extension, feel a big stretch through here, lots of engagement, ab, neck, and then we're going to pull through, squeezing that butt cheek at the top. So let's start on our right leg, left knee straight up to the ceiling, holding lightly on that bench, and now start to push the hips back and extend that left leg and hold. Make sure the pelvis is parallel to the floor, soft right knee, and now pull back through and squeeze that right butt cheek at the top. We're going to get 10 here. So the purpose of this exercise is running is all about landing on one leg repeatedly, one after the other. You're never technically on both feet at the same time, so we need to teach the body how to develop a little bit of control, and then that good hip snap to propel us forward. Nice and smooth. So the big thing you want to think about here is not letting that pelvis rotate. You got 4 left stays. What happens is you want that pelvis as parallel to the ground as possible. That way the hips are nice and even. Sometimes the hip that is moving, that hip tends to roll up to the ceiling, so just be really careful with that. Last one. And looks good. All right, spin around. So now let's go right hand on the bench, right knee up in the air, and now hinge the hips, soft left knee, roll the right hip down, and rip on through. So you don't need the bench per se, but it does help in terms of balance, especially if you're just kind of figuring to move out. Kind of almost just use it as a little kind of like crutch almost, but don't try to use it to pull you through, because eventually you want to be able to load this exercise. Smooth. Once again, if you're not as mobile as Stacy is, don't worry about having to go all the way down. As long as you're getting that good hinge pattern, you're really extending that back leg, making it active. Looks good. Let's get 2 more. And last one, finish up. Looks good, and pull on through. All right, guys, we're gonna go through all that again, starting with the knee tucks. Let's get sit on the edge, let's get 15. So we're gonna center our thumbs again, lean back a little bit, don't let that torso angle change. Pull the knees to the chest, and then the feet go down and forward. Make sure you try to breathe with this too. A good tip is if you try as the knees get pulled into the chest, try to blow out as much air as humanly possible. Just kind of helps with your timing a little bit. Looks good. Those hip flexors should be burning like crazy right now. Good. And let's get 5 more. Good. See how she's not moving a lot. You want to keep that torso almost as still as humanly possible. Keep breathing, knees to chest. And come on down and relax. All right, let's lift this bench. Let's get back into those calf raises. All right, let's get 15. So let's tuck the pelvis, abs engaged, head over the spine, and drive through the toes. So one thing to be leery of here is letting your heels kind of open out. So if you have a problem with that, if you look down, you always realize your heels are spreading. Put like a block in there, put a tennis ball in between your ankles, whatever you got. You can even use a really thick towel. We just don't want that ankle rolling out to the side. That's good. A good progression from here is once you can bang out 2 sets of 15 pretty easily, just start working your way up, and eventually 2 sets of 30 or 40. Calves respond really, really well to high repetition. Looks good. And relax. All right, now let's get back into those Dorsi walks. So let's start on the end of the mat, pull those toes up to the ceiling, and let's do our little duck walk. Nice and smooth. Seriously guys, don't freak out tomorrow after you do this workout in front of your shins. They're probably burning more than anything else. Just when do we ever train in front of our shins? I mean, it's just not something we do very often, but it's very, very important, especially as a runner, swimmer, anything like that. You need to have as much resiliency in that tissue on both sides of that ankle joint. Let's go one more time down and back. Nice and slow, nice and slow. Looks good, looks good. And back to the turn. All right, let's get into those lateral lunges. This time, let's start on the right, and we're gonna go to our left. So let's get that good plant, good hinge, and push off and back to the starting position. Let's go for 10 again. If you struggle with your balance a little bit while doing this, kind of break it up into 3 parts. You can kind of step out, make sure you got a good base, then perform your hinge / letting that knee drop. Then try to work on your explosion. Sometimes you can even hold a little chair in front of you, foam roller, whatever you want. Just make sure you feel safe and you're really owning the position. Good. Let's get one more, Stace. Excellent, excellent. All right, slide to the left, and now let's get into that right leg. So own that position, plant, and drive. Good, 9 more. Another good cue here is think about what that knee is doing. Your knee, when you're out to the side here, should not be buckling inward. If anything, it should be pretty much even with your big toe and your pinky toe, somewhere in that little range. We don't want that knee collapse inward, start irritating that kneecap. Looks good, looks good. Let's get 2 more, Stace. Good, last one. All right, let's get back into a single leg deadlift. So let's go right foot on the ground, left hand on the bench. Left knee up. All right, let's get a good hinge. Own that position and bend that right knee a little bit more and come back up. There we go. All right, let's get 9 more. So one takeaway here is really think about what that back leg is doing. You want to make him active. You'll notice when she goes to extend that back leg, her quads engaged, glutes engaged, she's really almost thinking like she's kicking somebody behind her. If you just kind of fall forward and let that leg hang like a limp noodle, you're kind of erasing all that tension that you could be creating. The more tension you create, the safer the nervous system is going to feel, the better everything's going to move and groove. Good, let's get 3 more. Looks good, 2 more. And 1 more good one. On that bottom position, hold, and rip on through. All right, let's spin around, let's switch legs. So right knee up to the ceiling, good, right hand on the bench, and hinge and extend. Looks good, and rip on through, squeeze that left butt cheek at the top. So when you're at the top of this lift, you should feel whatever leg is on the ground, that back butt cheek should be really turned on, and your abdominals nice and bracing, protecting that spine throughout. Looks good, looks good. So you really know if your pelvis is being parallel to the floor though. If you feel that outside hip, that should be burning like crazy after about 2 or 3 reps. Good. Let's get 2 more. And last one. Good position and rip on through. Excellent. All right guys, we're going to finish up with a little dual mini band walk. So sit on your bench. We're going to take out these little mini bands. So we're going to put one around the knees and then one around the ankles. So the reason we have 2 bands instead of 1, most of the time people put it on either the knee or just the ankle, and then they get really, really way out here and then look what their knees do. This is not good. We can't have this. So we're going to have Stace come over here, sitting right here on the right. You want to have your feet closer together than what you think. So your feet should never get outside shoulder width, because if they do, your knees are inevitably going to buckle. So I'd say start about 4 inches apart. Kind of get a good little soft stance. Push the knees out to start with so they're tracking right at the pinky toes. And when you do this, you should already feel the bottom of your butt cheeks turn on. Now from this position, we're just going to pick up and go 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch. We don't want to try and tip, because then we're not really getting into our glute. We're just going to go 1 inch, and she's going to go down and back 3 times. Really slow, really smooth. Sometimes it's good if you just think of a good beat in your head to kind of go to. Nice and smooth. Keeping those feet nice and don't get too far apart. Looks good. Take it back. So do a little check-in every once in a while. Look down. Are your knees at least the same width as your feet, if not even wider? If they're buckling, that means your feet are getting a little too far apart. Take it back. Do a little self-check. Are your abs engaged? Do a little karate chop in your stomach. Feeling good. Everything's nice and braced. Looks good. Take it back. We always want to try and give our body as much variability as possible, because as a runner, we're always going forward, 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 forward. We've got to get out of that zone. You're really good at moving forward. We've got to make sure we can go laterally as well. That's good. If you're doing this properly, the bottoms of your butt cheeks should be burning like crazy. Good little head nod from Stace, and take it back. Don't get too wide, don't get too wide. Looks good. Feet always nice and straight, always nice and straight. And you are done. All right, guys, that's the end of today's workout. It's really important to incorporate this in your current routine so you develop the strength necessary to keep running as long as you want. Thanks for joining us, and until next time, remember, be strong, be mobile.